Welcome to Roguecast, the official podcast of Rogues Gallery. We'll talk comics for the week, as well as whatever news is on our pop cultural radar. I'm Randy.
I'm Nick. This is Dave.
And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to the Roguecast, the pre-Free Comic Book Day Roguecast. Actually, there'll be one more of those.
Okay. But it's still,
coming
technically
soon.
It is still a pre-Comic Day
In fact,
Roguecast.
all Roguecasts are either pre or post for Comic Book Day, depending on how you measure time.
Actually, it's like Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, it's like they're all equally a pre and post one for some Free Comic Book Day.
It's true, unless whoever buys Diamond kills Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
So everyone should really enjoy Free Comic Book Day this year, because there's a possibility we might not have it next year.
It might be the last.
And that is May 3rd.
That is May 3rd.
It's, was it 2-ish weeks out?
Yeah, week and a half about.
Yeah. And it's going to be a fun, and exciting, and cool day. Yeah.
We have not... stuff's been coming in from 3 different distributors. We've just been gathering it up. We actually don't even know what all we're getting this year.
Nope.
It's going to be a surprise for you and us.
Do they have a listing on the website?
Yes, but unfortunately it's not accurate anymore because there's some things got canceled.
Or would we expect at least kind of most of the big ones to make it out?
Sure.
All right.
It's going to be a surprise for the customer and for us.
But we will have a ton of free
that
comics
will make
to
it
give
the
out.
most exciting Free Comic Book Day of them all.
But we will not be doing our traditional look at them because we haven't been grabbing them out as we get them.
True.
There's been too much stuff.
Unless one of us decides to go crazy and break them all out.
The one of us would be Nick, by the way. That's the only one of us that's going to happen.
I mean, that's probably not going to happen. But, we'll see.
But anyway, Free Comic Book Day will be cool.
Yes.
Once again, reminder, we have the new website. You can go check it out. People will slowly been doing a couple of orders online.
Yep.
If you want to try it out, you can put an order in.
Seems to be working.
We will possibly see that order.
Yep.
And
we think we've been getting them.
Put it aside.
Here, I will say this. We've been getting them. Sometimes we get them a little bit later than we probably should, but we do get them.
Within a day or so.
And just take our single issue inventory with a little bit of it might be wrong.
But if it is 2 a.m. and you're like, hey, I wonder if they've got like arcs in stock. You could look and see.
That's true.
And you'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go to Rogues and pick that up tomorrow. And you'd be like, just to make sure, I'm going to send in an order so that they put aside for me.
Yep.
And if you do that, there's like a 75% chance we will put it aside for you.
It's true.
Yes.
I've been trying to make a point of looking at it in the morning.
75% is a high number. I was saying it's pretty good.
Oh, wait. It's 100%. We haven't missed any.
That's true.
The worst thing that we've ever had is just like maybe a day goes by before we get around to the email or whatever.
When we've been doing something for so long, it's to change that up and like add a new element into every morning.
Yes.
Checking something. It's going to take some time.
It is, and that's why I give us a 25% wiggle room. But Dave wants to promise 100%. So you know what?
100%.
Here on this podcast, we're promising 100%. And if you don't get the special order that you asked for online, you get to punch Dave in the face.
Also, we're still going to respond. We're just going to say no, we don't have it. That is a successful 100% interaction.
That is a response.
Except for on their part, where they're sad because they don't have the thing they wanted.
They got their interaction.
Oh, if you're just basing it on interaction,
yes,
sure.
They just want to talk to us, to be loved by us.
Hey, people order shit from Amazon and don't get it.
That's true.
That's true.
Speaking of changed, one of the big things that's coming to us hopefully next week, we will be adding Roosevelt shirts to our inventory.
We are expanding.
Yeah, not a lot. They don't the availability is a little scattershot.
Now, if you have not seen a Roosevelt shirt before, you have because you've seen Randy probably at some point
with Randy
in here.
And it is literally all I wear anymore. Yes.
But yes, how do we describe these shirts? They're
He's
nice,
literally wearing one right
collared
now.
button-down shirts with these very cool prints that are from pop culture.
Yep.
And they like they've always made these kind of things, but this is like kind of a next level, really strong graphic design. I'd say
they're very comfortable. They're made of good material. They're I've had some of these for like a couple of years, and I've washed them every couple of weeks, and they work great. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking like Star Wars, G.I. Joe, but also more obscure licenses.
The ones we're getting are Marvel, One Piece, and Alien.
Yep, that's a good variety.
They're all limited runs, so we're getting sort of what's available still.
Right, that is kind of one of the.
And we're trying these out. Roosevelt does do other things, so we could potentially grow.
Yep. We're just going to see if they sell for us.
But I will say, It's an online presence for the most part. There's very few shops in Austin that actually have them on shelves.
Yep.
So
mostly it's at like Buc-ee's.
yeah, mostly it's at Buc-ee's. I think like Hallmark weirdly
There's a
has
couple,
like
yeah.
some,
And soon
but
it
it's
shall be
very rare.
us.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's cool that we'll be one of the shops in Austin that carries them.
Yep.
That's right. That's right. If anybody else starts carrying them, we put them out of business.
Have very mob-like mentality, Dave.
Hell yeah.
We got a handful of new games, not a lot. We got a game called Come Sail Away, which is not based on the
Journey
Styx
Song?
Journey Song? No, Styx. Styx.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Journey sticks.
Journey 6. But is a...
Gathering of angels.
Yes. It's a...
Much to my surprise.
you
All
done?
right.
I didn't think I was.
This is not our 500th episode, Dave.
Yeah. We don't get a musical for another 500 episodes, Dave.
You don't think so?
No, start
Every
practicing.
It's every 500 episodes.
Every 500 episodes. Come Sail Away is a four-player board game. You compete to board passengers upon your luxury liner, bring them to their favorite cabins and facilities.
Okay.
There is. We also got a game called Heredity, which is a co-op game. It's co-op sort of. What do you call it? Legacy type, sort of.
Okay.
You are trying to survive and protect your family in a post-apocalyptic world. It's a narrative game. References Mad Max, Last of Us, Walking Dead, all that
Yep.
kind of thing.
Okay.
There's 5 chapters. It's a campaign story. That one looks pretty cool. We got Garden Rush, which is based on Plants vs. Zombies,
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
which is a 2-player one, I believe.
Yep.
And then we got a game called Animals Gathering, which is you are reforming beautiful animals with shining crystals, dice, and magic. It's a dice family game.
So did you say reforming them?
They under dark magic, they've become extinct in the crystal forest.
Oh, okay.
So you're gathering the magic stones and resisting the
repopulating.
darkness to bring back the magical animals.
Come
Which I
sail
assume-
away. Come sail away.
I assume includes like unicorns and narwhals and that kind of thing.
Nice.
Sure.
I don't know that. I'm just saying.
No, if they don't have unicorns and narwhals, we
You
riot.
slap Randy.
Yeah, okay,
Oh.
that's fair.
Slap. Okay.
Narwhal slap. Just walk
Narwhal
in and just say that. He has to forgive you.
Yep, there's nothing I can do.
Narwhal slap.
Legally speaking, I am bound by the narwhal slap.
Narwhal horn.
So then we got the Summit edition of Parks, the very popular Parks game.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
This is the new edition. They've got new art, but it is still they still give money to the national parks.
It's a big version.
It's a big version. It has cool like wooden meeples. I've heard people say it's got a neoprene mat as the board. The last game was very, very pretty. This game is also pretty, but just different art style. So a cool update of Parks.
Neat.
And then we got a couple big restocks. We got a restock on Final Girl, the solo RPG or the solo board game where you're the final girl against various horror monsters.
Yeah, you buy the core set, and then they have like 15 or something like
Yeah.
expansions that are all. I mean, most of them at least fairly clearly inspired by some movie. Like this is sort of their take on Friday the 13th,
Yep.
or Nightmare on Elm
or
Street.
Terminator is
Aliens,
one
the
of them.
Thing.
Terminator is one of them.
Yep. And it's funny. Terminator is one of those. You might think of it as sci-fi first, but it is structured exactly like a horror movie.
Yeah. They have a Krampus Christmas
There's
edition.
a Krampus
one.
Christmas one,
Yep.
And then we got a restock on Commander decks. We've got, for Magic, we've got Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, and Bloomburrow back in stock.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Doctor Who and Bloomburrow. I'm
Yep.
surprised.
I'm more surprised by Lord of the Rings, honestly.
Oh, sorry, that didn't quite connect when you said that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The art for Lord of the Rings one are fantastic.
All right, let's talk about comics for the week. Kind of a biggish week, right?
I think it's a big
There's
week,
a lot of
yeah.
stuff in there.
There's-
Not a lot of number ones.
I was gonna say there's not a lot of like jumping on points per se,
So
but
let's start with one of them.
Yep.
That is Predator versus Spider-Man. This is the third Predator miniseries that Marvel's done with Ben Percy writing.
A Predator has attacked Wolverine. A Predator has attacked
Panther?
Black Panther. And now
A Predator attacks Spider-Man.
Predator attacks Spider-Man. It is
Not
is this like a
exactly-
60 minutes?
Not exactly a Stan Lee pitch there. I know that it's not the best elevator pitch, but
it is hot in the summer. Garbage cooking on street corners, as it says here. And when it gets hot, that's when predators show up.
I will say, if you have a love of Predator 2,
Yes,
I think this book might be for you.
it feels like that a little bit.
It's also one of the goriest Spider-Man comics I've
It
ever
really is like the predator's going around skinning people. It's almost they think it's a serial killer.
read. Yeah.
This when I was making the sign, I don't know how accurate this is to the actual comic, but they seem to suggest that this is maybe like some kind of young renegade predator who might be like an honorless predator. And I was like, that sounds like a cool idea.
He's definitely different. He's not like the other predators we've met before.
Now, the predator in the original movie skinned the bodies of the people that they found.
I mean, it's true.
But this one is, I don't know, more into it.
I think he's a little more into it.
Part of his kink.
He looks a little different than other predators.
Oh, interesting. But flipping through this, it is weirdly violent, especially for something with Spider-Man in it.
Yep.
Maybe not for a Predator comic, but
So I will say it's like our rating is heightened slightly, not to like
not Marvel Max levels,
Marvel
but
Max
it's up
polybagged.
there. It could have been polybagged probably for that.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask about? Randy, I remember you saying it sort of felt like a little bit like it took place in an alternate world, like it was like a slightly different take on Spidey.
It does feel like not in MCU or 616 continuity.
Right.
Well, that's because Mary Jane and him are together.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Sometimes that gives it. Then that means they can play with the stakes more. They don't have to worry about things working out fairly. Like, I guess that means that this is the kind of place where Spider-Man could get killed by a predator.
Spider-Man could get killed,
or
or
actually be
maybe he could become the new Predator.
Maybe become the new Predator.
But I did like the last page reveal.
Yes,
what a perfect team up with Spidey. And
there is a very cool kind of guest star character in this that I was like, oh man, that is a fun idea.
Yep.
See that.
From Image, we have Moonshine Bigfoot.
Yes.
Which is the story, and again, there's all the stories have been told. So, of course, another Moonshine Bigfoot story. Another story about Bigfoot and his hippie girlfriend driving his souped-up Mustang while the police and cryptid hunters chase him. We've all seen that story 100 times.
You want to pass the bong?
But yes, it is what it says it is. It's a Moonshine Bigfoot, and he is being chased by a sheriff straight out of Smokey and the Bandit.
Yep.
A cryptid hunters and a mysterious Cobra-like organization.
Is this a Jerry Dugan production?
No, but it sure feels like it.
Okay, I was going to say, because what you're describing feels like a Jerry Dugan.
The writer's name is Mike Marlowe, and the artist is Steve Ellis, and Zach Howard is writer and inker. This is a very weird, fun book.
So when you say fun, is it like a shirtless bear fighter kind of
It's in
vibe?
that vein, yeah, for sure.
This is one I didn't get a chance to read, but...
I do think you would probably enjoy it a lot reading Uncertain Substances.
Okay, yep.
Okay, lots of second issues or part twos of stories this week.
Yep.
So, Batman Hush 2 is issue 159 of Batman, which is part 2. This has a pretty notable thing for Red Hood.
Yep.
It's got that Jim Lee artwork. It's on time.
It puts Batman in a moral dilemma of do you save your most hated foe or not?
Yep. I was surprised to see it come out on time.
I think Jim Lee's been working on this for a while. He's been posting a lot of stuff that, like, for a couple of months at this point.
Absolute Martian Manhunter number 2, which I think we all dug the sort of weird Martian Manhunter.
Yep.
I really dug the second issue quite a bit.
The art is so good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it is continues to be easily the trippiest comic of the Absolute line.
Yeah.
And I like that they have that. It's the offbeat book, and I think it's doing a good job of being the offbeat book. John is kind of like he's kind of having like consistent or persistent rather identity issues in the sense that it's almost like everybody's thoughts are always bleeding into his.
Well, it's also this is John and a Martian kind of like merging in a lot of ways.
Right, like kind of like it's almost like it's a sort of like a little devil or angel sort of thing.
I was thinking
kind of
inner space, little guy running around in your brain.
But it's the way he is envisioning is he kind of like sees it everywhere he looks around him.
Yeah.
And it is that weird thing that the artist Javier Rodriguez.
Yep.
That we know that it is sculpted like a little Gumby clay version of the true form of Martian Manhunter, and he's interacting with it a lot throughout this, but I can only say in the weirdest way possible.
But but it's also just kind of like visually just crazy of how like he's seeing like people's memories and emotions.
Yes. They referred to they mentioned the real thing of synesthesia.
Yep.
wherein one like you might hear colors or see smells and things like that. And
it's, I don't know. I feel like it is one of the most, the most thoughtful kind of depictions of kind of this. Like, there's a lot of thought put into this.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not reading this, why?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? It's great.
What, are you scared of Martians?
Now we are out of. Oh, that was one thing. They deliberately say that he's not a Martian.
Yeah, they do.
They kind of get away from these, like it's basically, it's like the way his brain is interpreting aliens is like, he's like, yeah, there's no life on Mars. Yep. I thought that was a cool a change up.
Yeah,
that, because Mars, they did like a time travel thing to make it work in the DCU, but the idea that there was not aliens on Mars, like, we know that now.
Oh, right.
So because he was created in like the 60s, so people didn't know about Mars.
There's some high concepts at work here.
Yeah,
and,
it's fun.
I'll be curious to see how Denise Camp continues.
Is it Denise Camp?
It is.
Oh, who also wrote Assorted Crisis Events #2, which comes out this week.
It does. I did not realize that Assorted Crisis Events was going to be a series of sort of one-shots.
Yeah, it's kind of an anthology.
Yeah, and I think that is
place in this weird. The weird thing about this world is that there's a bunch of apocalypses going on at the same time.
Yeah, a bunch of crises happening at random intervals.
Yes,
it could appear at any time, and that sounds terrifying. And
yes,
as it turns out, it is pretty terrifying.
It's not great.
This one whose cover depicts a velociraptor eating a person.
Yes.
That actually does occur in the book.
Nice. I appreciate a comic that doesn't lie.
It's true. It does not lie. It's doing... I think Denise Camp likes his high concepts, and he's delivering them pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
This is, I think, a little bigger than the first issue was, where it was literally a woman dealing with a broken clock. This one is dealing with some bigger ideas and some... problems we're facing right now. I thought the art continues to be exceptional.
The art is beautiful in this.
And the way this one has a little bit of playing with time, and how the artist depicts that is really, really cool.
How do you spell this writer's first name?
Denise. Deniz.
Deniz. Okay.
Yep.
He's on a roll right now. I mean, and with popularity, writing the Ultimates and this and Russian Manhunter.
That's quite the moment to be having.
He's working for all the companies.
He is.
That's rare.
He's doing Ultimates, Assorted Crisis Events, and Absolute Martian Manhunter. That's pretty notable.
That is.
We got the second issue of The Mummy by Faith Erin Hicks.
Mm-hmm. Written and drawn by.
And drawn by. So it's funny. I've never seen the original Mummy. I don't know if you guys have seen the Universal Monsters Mummy.
I have.
So my everything I know is being drawn from the Brendan Fraser Mummy. But this is like their point of view character is the person who's sort of the reincarnation of Aung San Suu Kyi, or what's her name is.
Yep.
And is that a big thing in the original as well?
It is. Yeah. But it's probably, I think. Man, it has been a little while since I've seen it, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years.
But she's our point of view character, she's our lead character, and she's starting to realize that she is maybe tied into this while the mummy is waking up.
Yeah, leaning into the dark romance of it is something, like, it is absolutely is part of the thing. The mummy has returned in the original one for his lost bride, and there is a sense where it's like, well, yes, he did some bad things, but usually when we have somebody who's doing something extraordinary for love, they're the hero of the thing.
Yep.
And so the mummy has that sort of built into it as a little bit of a little understandability with it. And but I think it's rare that it's been from the perspective of the woman.
Yeah, this is very much about her. She's she's in the museum, and she has a sort of a meet cute with the son of the curator, and they're all talking about some people who went mad on a dig and all this kind of stuff, and the mummy himself has only barely shown up in this.
Okay, that is, as I recall, something somewhat true of the original movie is that it is a largely off-screen for a little while sort of thread.
Okay, but I'm really digging this.
That's cool. It seems like she's a good fit for this book, and I like her art a lot too.
The second issue of Oni Press's crime book Out of Alcatraz, which I don't know if anybody else read this.
I did not get a chance to read this one.
They're doing some interesting stuff. Basically, it's like a couple guys on the run. They escaped Alcatraz. They're on the run with a woman who clearly doesn't like them so much. They had someone, one of their brothers, seem to have died in the escape, but in fact he is chasing after them. And also there's a FBI guy and a cop who, it turns out, spoilers, are a gay couple in the 50s and are hiding that. They're basically, one of them is like the cop who has quit is like these guys escaped, and the FBI guy is like, look, they drowned, don't worry about it. And they're having so they're in a relationship, and they're going to basically go rogue from the FBI, hunting down this guy that one of them thinks is dead.
Okay.
It's got some depth for a crime book.
Okay.
And I will say Tyler Crook's art.
And Tyler Crook's art is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Second issue of Amazing Spider-Man, Joe Kelly's new run. The villain in this is a character I've never heard of before, but she was from Spider-Man Deadpool.
Yep. Also, it seems like, I mean, there's definitely other things going on, but I kind of like the idea of a Spider-Man who's been drugged and having to deal with sort of the ramifications of that.
Yep.
I don't know if I've actually seen that. I usually see that in a Batman story.
Yeah.
So when you say drugged, you're talking about like Scarecrow, Fear.
Yeah, kind of along
No, he
those
got super high on mushrooms.
I mean, sure, why not? Spider-Man can do what he wants.
That's right.
I have seen at least some stories where like Kraven will tag him with a dart or something like that, and he kind of starts to lose it a little bit.
But I see it less than like in Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
This one though, Spidey just does a line.
He does a line of coke and then he goes out and fights the.
But I also like
he's like, I can take on the whole world.
I like this writer's portrayal of Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
It is weird to me that they decided to reform Norman Osborn. It is very weird.
It's kind of, it must be in the zeitgeist because they've been doing stories like that with Luthor right now over at over at DC.
Yeah.
Well, there's reforming in the way that, like in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Norman is kind of not your traditional Norman,
friendly, but he is
but
not
with
a
an
good
asterisk.
person.
He is not a good. He's still not a good person in this book.
Yeah.
But he has friendly.
Like in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, he hadn't goblined out yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's when you want to know Norman pre-goblin.
Pre-goblin.
It's true.
Well, technically, he's always pre-goblin. He's always pre-goblin and post-goblin.
He's like for comic book day, apparently.
Justice League Unlimited number 6, which is part 2 of their We Are Yesterday crossover. This is Gorilla Grodd in the modern day deciding to go back in time because the villains today are too woke. He's going to go recruit because Luthor is reformed. I forget who else. Like he has to go back in time because the current ones are not like Sinestro's with the Green Lantern Corps. So he's going back in time to grab the Legion of Doom. And the big reveal of who Airwave is and why and how he was.
Oh, did that actually?
That's in this issue. What happened?
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty good, actually.
It's
I liked
pretty good. Yeah.
I also like that Mark Waid is playing with the DC as it is.
Right.
Like he's utilizing things.
It kind of fits that, like, you know, like this is the zeitgeist. Sort of is the zeitgeist of what some of the writers are doing. A little bit of like, could you reform this guy? Could you reform that guy or whatever? And Grodd is like, oh my god, look at these people reforming. They suck.
Yeah.
Grodd, he's like, but Grodd doesn't suck.
But a writer could easily ignore what Joshua Williamson is doing in Superman or any other book. But Mark Waid plays ball.
Waid wants to say, Joshua Williamson, you suck. Just kidding. This is actually doesn't come with that vibe or anything, and it continues to be a pretty cool book.
Speaking of Joshua Williamson, this week is Superman number 25, the milestone 25th issue, which is also 868.
Legacy number.
Yep.
We love an 868th issue.
So this has a little bit of insight into Luthor before he became like reformed Luthor.
Yep.
And
before he lost his memories.
A weapon that he left that Mercy decides to unleash.
Yep.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Mercy heel turning and becoming evil was a surprising.
Mercy's always been evil. She's
a little bit, but not to this extent.
She kind of like she wants like the old Lex, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's in love with the old Lex. Yeah.
But Superman, Superwoman, and Lex all have to team up against this evil Lex.
Yeah.
And it's a big knockdown, drag out with some notable things,
and got some fallout that I wasn't expecting. Honestly.
Yeah. Also, some really nice art. I don't know who the artist is on this.
Isn't that Jorge Jimenez?
Jamal Campbell, Eddie Barrows, Aberfer, and Dan Mora. Okay, so a bunch of people on this.
All the big guns.
But yeah, it's a fun big epic. If you've not been reading Superman and you saw the Summer of Superman special, which is kind of how I got in, this is a good place to jump in and see the run. I'm curious at some point to like read all of this run. I know you've been kind of semi keeping up with it, Nick.
What comic was I reading this week where somebody crushes somebody's head between their hands? I know this. It's like
Oh,
in
God,
like
that did
something.
happen.
It's in like some sort of like Avengers or some sort of normal-ish book.
It wasn't Avengers, but it does happen.
What did Grodd do it?
He might have.
Maybe he did it. It does seem like something Grodd would do. But I seem to remember thinking it was almost like, well, it's kind of weird that hero did that, but maybe this was a construct or something like. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for dropping that in my brain, and it's going to bug me because I
That's
can't
all right. I'm
remember
gonna
what
flip
it
through these
is.
until I
figure out
find a
where it
good,
is, yep.
a good head crushing.
Yep.
Whatever it was, I seem to remember thinking it was a good scene, though.
Yeah, it was.
The Avengers also hits issue 25 or issue 791.
I love a good 791st issue. That's what I'm there for.
I'm really about the 795, so I'm really excited for that
connoisseur.
one.
So the Doom has taken over the world, and the Mad Thinker wants none of it because he's like, this is a great thing. He's like, if Doom is good, then to stand in opposition to him must be evil. I propose we be masters of this evil. I'm like, that's some tortured logic, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I kind of like when the bad guys, old school, announce their name. And also, this does function a little bit like, Secret Six did during the Villains United days of DC, which is to say, when some big villain group takes over the world, you're going to have some villains who are like, I ain't going to play ball with that.
Yep.
And they end up kind of like these weird, kind of messed up heroes. And I like this new Masters of Evil team.
It's a bizarre team.
It is
Yeah.
a weird team,
So,
but
it's
not
in-
that way. Like, when you think about who the original ones were, they were weird too.
Those were two. So
Moonstone is not exactly normal.
This is it's on page 2. I feel like we can go to say who's in it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Hyde, Dread Knight.
Yep,
but
the
no one
Iron
knows
Man
who Dread
villain,
Knight is.
but-
Madcap, probably know who Madcap is.
Yep.
And Oubliette, Midas, the Exterminatrix, who is a Grant Morrison character, and you would not be surprised it's a Grant Morrison character.
Right.
Yeah.
And rallied by the Mad Thinker.
Mad Thinker. Which, by the way, I think other than Mr. Hyde, no one in these guys has been a Master of Evil before.
That's probably true.
Mad Thinker
Was
has
Dread
not
Knight
been.
not at some point?
I know. I don't think so. Dread Knight was an Iron Man villain.
Yeah, no.
One of the earliest comics I had, or maybe that my brother had, doubtless from the 70s, was an Iron Man comic with Dread Knight in it. Did he have, like, his mask fused to his face, kind of Doctor Doom style?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I seem to remember that they dramatized that or told about it in flashback, and it creeped me out as a kid, and so I knew he had some Doctor Doom tie-in, and that makes him a good guy to be in opposition against Doom. These characters, they interact interestingly with each other, and I liked being among that team. So I'm really I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
He was part of the Frightful Four.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Fantastic Four villain, right?
What
It was like
character
the
are you talking
wizard,
about?
Yes,
Dread Knight.
yeah, Dread
It was
Knight.
like wizard and
Oh, was he?
Titania.
Okay.
He was, but he's an Iron Man villain originally.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting because if he was with the Frightful Four, that would that have included the Mad Thinker? I can't remember if he was ever.
I feel like he must have been.
He
at
is
some
definitely
point.
an FF villain.
Mad Thinker is. I thought
think
he was
so.
also an Avengers villain.
I think he came around from. I thought he came from FF.
He might have.
But we'll look this up
Does not
offline.
list
or
Mad
Rob
Thinker
can,
as a Frightful Four.
can let us know.
Yeah. But anyway, a fun issue of Avengers, and it ties into One Moment of Doom.
Agreed.
Oh, and by the way, there's also a big. It's not quite all villains. There's an interesting Falcon spotlight.
Yeah.
And Falcon has a broken arm, and he's like, man, I can't even do the normal flying thing right now. He's like, how can I possibly deal with something something really dangerous? And interesting stuff happens.
Yeah, agreed.
The finale of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, this miniseries.
It'll tie into the cartoon.
We all really like the cartoon. I don't know. I really like this miniseries.
What I have read, I quite like, but I have not read the last few issues.
And it takes place sort of in between the early episodes.
Yeah. No, it is a great companion, and anybody who liked Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man the show should check this out. Probably at this point, if you haven't been following it, maybe get the graphic novel.
Yeah. One World Under Doom number 3. I've been really enjoying this. The last two crossovers Marvel did, the Blood Hunt and One World Under Doom, like both of them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Avengers are teaming up with some of their villains because they need assistance to take down Doom. They decide to take another attack against him. Doom seems to be basically outwitting the heroes at every turn here.
Have they considered dealing with him the way Ant-Man considered dealing with Thanos?
I think that's got to be coming.
But there's
It's the last thing Doom expects.
there's some hubris here at play towards the
Sure.
end.
Yep.
And there's a good twist.
Yes, there is.
Okay, that's cool.
Absolute Wonder Woman number 7. This was really great.
This is the second part of a two-part story that kind of zeroes in on kind of a flashback to Diana's earlier life.
Yeah, a little bit more of her early life. Yeah,
and also a deeper dive into kind of who's the writer?
Kelly Thompson.
Kelly Thompson's take on Greek mythology in this setting.
Yeah, her take on like
Persephone and
Hades and Persephone.
And the previous issue we saw Prometheus, right? And it's all been really cool. Reminding me of like well thought out versions like Brian Azzarello's run on Wonder Woman.
Yep, I'm reading that right now, and
even though I hate to invoke his name, Neil Gaiman. There's some neat rethinks of these.
Yeah, I'm reading the Azzarello right now, and there are a lot of correlations. But I think Kelly Thompson's take is a little more interesting to me. It's not as like mired in darkness as Azzarello likes to do. There's kind of like
there's a
bigness.
There's a big mother-daughter component to this book
for sure.
And like. What's interesting is I realized when I was reading Wonder Woman back in the day during George Perez's run, there was like is it Julia Capitelli, something like that. The Greek researcher who was one of the people who kind of helped introduce her to the world, became a kind of mother figure for her, and of course there was Hippolyta at times, depending on when she was on the island, but like. That's interesting because that's very much part of the story is a mother-daughter thing with Cersei. Cersei? Right?
Yep.
And Wonder Woman?
Yep.
And I think that is one of the things that makes it unique is that there's kind of insight into their interactions. And I think it can be surprisingly universal, even though they're also trying to outwit monsters and gods.
Well, and I think that's one of the things I like most about this book, that Wonder Woman is not just physical. Yep. It's her brain and her ability to outthink her opponents.
There's a recurring analysis of a story in this one.
Yeah,
that's an interesting framework for it.
It's just, and that's just like the execution of these issues one by one. I am just super impressed by.
Also, super badass art. Whatever that thing she was fighting in the arena. That's like a tiger minotaur looking thing.
So cool.
Very cool looking.
It is very cool.
Yeah, this is I hate to use the word fill-in artist, but a different artist than Hayden Sherman. But for these past two
really
issues,
good though.
Insanely good.
Yeah.
We got the finale of the first arc of G.I. Joe, issue number 6, which has Cobra Commander throwing down with Duke.
Mono e mono. Yep. And it's like a pretty serious fight too. Like I'm gonna spoil a very small exchange. There's a bit where Duke gets his drop on Cobra Commander with a pistol, and he's firing at his face.
Him in the face.
Yeah. And then but the face plate is hard enough that it ricochets off, and the bullet goes right back through Duke.
Yep.
It is a brutal fight.
Yep.
And Duke is like Marv from Sin City or something though in this. He's he takes a licking.
We've talked a little off mic. We're hoping Duke stops being so meatheadish.
He's a little
he's very just kind of like action man, and I would like him to be less action man and a little cartoon man.
When you're a leader guy, you got to be a little bit more thoughtful, and that kind of has been his arc to some degree is learning how to lead this team of disparate soldiers. The thematic of G.I. Joe has always been that in the comic, honestly, it's an argument for diversity because they're instead of being this kind of conceived of as more like a somewhat more realistic military unit where they are all specialists. And Duke is having to figure out how to rein that in and control it and stuff like that. And he also and what he had to learn is to kind of trust in them and stuff like that. But yes, I would like to see that growth continue to where Duke is a little less.
He only does it after Hawk beats him over the head with it.
Right? Yeah. He's still got some growing to do. But this is a pretty cool issue that has a lot of things happening in it.
It does.
There's a huge reveal at the end, which is I think we all really enjoyed.
Yes.
And then the next on,
and then there's at least one mystery that I was like, wait, we all noticed it, and because they make sure you notice it, but we can't figure it out
yet. Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
Third issue of Eddie Brock Carnage, and I think if you told any of us that we'd be 3 issues into a Carnage book and really digging it,
still really liking it.
It's really good.
Charles Soule has put more thought into this than it deserves.
Anyone who's ever written Carnage.
I think we were saying that Carnage. They did not defang him.
No.
He's actually very scary in this. Yep. But because it's Eddie Brock, they're sort of in this. They're reliant on each other. They're both parasitically surviving off of each other. that like literally they could kill each other. Carnage knows that he could find another host, and he actually wants one. He wants a worse person than Eddie. But they have but as long as Eddie is kind of hunting serial killers and stuff like that, Carnage is enjoying it enough to want to play ball. So there's all these interesting checks and balances that they have on each other, and sometimes it takes place on a mindscape. But in this one, though, there's like a big throwdown with a weird but cool Marvel villain. Was he from Cap?
Punisher.
Oh, wow. Can we say who this dude is?
Yeah, he's on the cover.
And he showed up.
What is his character's
name?
name?
Bushwhacker.
Yep.
Bushwhacker, yeah.
The
dude with, like, as if he has, like, cybernetic guns that are under his skin. Like, he can turn his arms into
whatever gun he wants.
Yeah.
And
but
he basically just has to eat ammunition.
Yeah, it's weird. But usually when you see him, the visual you're going to see is this guy who looks like he has, like, these, like, chain guns on his arms, as if the flesh had grown over them.
It was Carnage.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Randy was referring to a head-crushing incident discussed earlier. But anyway, this is a really cool issue with both some big action in it and some like clever reveals where they answer one of the biggest mysteries in it.
Yep, the one from this issue one.
From the first issue, the what happened to the entire plane.
But I will also say it's kind of interesting that there's subplots going on. I love who's chasing Eddie.
Me too.
I think that is a ton of fun. The characters that they're using there.
There's it was like a therapist or a profiler who's like working with Eddie.
She's like the podcaster.
She's a podcaster who basically he was
podcast, and she gets him leads on serial killers. But she had no idea she thought she was given a second chance to a
journalist. Yes,
right.
Because Eddie's a journalist,
and basically Eddie is taking advantage of her, utilizing her stuff
to keep Carnage satisfied. And she's kind of learning about it in this, and it's actually all really well written.
It is.
Yeah, it's great.
And then there's Mindscape stuff, and sometimes I hate that.
But man, it's really good.
Pimp
Pimp Daddy Carnage in the Mindscape is a great design.
He's drawn so cool. He looks like an evil pimp.
The art by Jesus Sayas in this is fantastic. And again, Jesus Sayas he's like an A-list quality artist.
It's got to be Jesus,
for him to be
right?
Is it? Yes, Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I think actually I don't know. Anyway.
You don't mess with the Jesus?
You don't mess with the Jesus. Anyway.
That was not on my bingo card to love a Carnage book this much.
Me neither, and it's great. I really like it.
Despite perhaps the reveal, the Venom book has also been good, although Venom is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Symbiotes are back, baby.
Symbiotes are back.
It is a Jed MacKay Tuesday because we have two Jed MacKay books. In addition to Avengers, we've got X-Men. Love that this guy, who was one of my favorite writers off of Moon Knight and Black Cat, is now high enough up at Marvel that he's writing X-Men and Avengers.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we talked about Avengers had some stumbles early on.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like when he's been doing it right, I've liked a lot of it. So it's an example of how he's not exactly writing a run for the ages. But like, there's a lot of good stuff in it, so I'm easily recommending Avengers, and I really like his X-Men book.
Yeah, his X-Men is
half the time
really
because Juggernaut, the Juggernaut magic bromance.
Juggernaut gets a cool moment here.
This one he does.
Yep.
This one has a somewhat almost body horror storyline, but it involves those big alien ships, the Acanti from like the earliest Brood storylines. They were like giant space whales. They're like literally only like half a mile long, and one of them like crashes on Earth and dies because of events in the previous one. And now there is like this mutant that's kind of like possessing it to use its biomass as its body. Like, it is creepy, but like the way he kind of depicts the X-Men using their teamwork to handle it, or sometimes when like things break down a little bit.
I was gonna say, in this issue,
they're having some issues.
Well, they're one character who basically connects them through a mind link is gone at the moment.
Yeah.
So they're having to sort of deal with that, and Cyclops.
He's old school Jed MacKay in the sense that he writes, I feel like he's good at, like, the team isn't made impotent by that. Rather, you see them having to stress and strain to find clever new ways to make what they want to happen.
You say he pivots?
I might, even though I never watched that.
This is another fun issue.
It's a really
their villain has ties. It's funny. It's one of those. It's not that weird. It's kind of weird that it happened twice.
Yeah,
The
right.
villain has a tie to an X-Men villain. I'm like, oh, is this such a thing that has happened twice in the X-Men's history?
Yeah, well, I mean, I assume there's a point about it happening
probably,
twice, right?
yes.
This other character...
Well, it gives a point of connection for them. So,
right, sought this person out, yeah.
The penultimate G.I. Joe Silent Missions, this one with Roadblock, comes out. I think Nick and I both found this one to be much easier to read than the last few.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought the artwork was kind of akin to... who did the Godzilla? Not as intricate, but it has that kind of...
Oh, you're talking about Stocco.
Yeah,
James
it's got
Stocco.
kind of a little bit of a vibe.
Little bit of that.
Not quite as intricate.
But it's a
anything.
Roadblock, kind of an... I saw enough to catch... There's a sort of an Cobra Arctic convoy, and it's got a lot of their cool Arctic vehicles. So if you're a vehicle guy,
but it's basically
you're gonna see them
doing
him trying to do a rescue mission. Yeah,
it's cool.
They have in that sense, it's kind of like the original Silent issue, which was a rescue mission for Scarlet, but this is kind of like a rescue mission for a mobile sort of threat.
Yep.
Bug Wars number 3. I know y'all are both reading Bug Wars.
Yep, although I haven't read this issue yet.
This one kind of gives a little bit more of the lore. We get more of the backstory about his father, and
I read just enough to see that there is a kind of an interesting, there's kind of a cool escape sequence early on. Essentially, this kid in it, who's, from our real world, but gets shrunk down and must enter the barbarian kind of magical bug kingdom of massive wars and lots of swearing and kind of darkly funny.
And all the different bugs have created their own.
But he's like this kind of like prophesied figure who can wield their strength of his human form inside the body of this small form. And start throwing punches like he's an invincible character.
It's true.
And but it's not one of these things that just turns on and off. He doesn't become the chosen one and it's just on. It's like something's not working right about it, and so he kind of can't assume he's going to have it. And I don't know how that plays out. I haven't read the full issue, but it's an interesting scenario. And Aaron is clearly having a ball with this kind of messed up bug world.
Yeah, the world building alone of just like the different classes of bug. They're doing beetles and spiders and where they live in the kind of biome and how they interact. Like the spiders are all
the hierarchy
wizards and like sorcerers and things like that. It's just really, really cool. It's like a distillation of D&D in some ways.
I want them to. Have they done cicadas yet?
They have not done cicadas.
I want him to this kid to meet like a cicada.
I don't know exactly. I mean,
they would shriek until your like eardrums burst or something
little,
like that. That'd be kind of cool. And yet, cicadas are big, puffy insects, so I hope that when they see them, they're more like big trolls. That'd
be fun
or something. Okay.
Yeah. This is Momo Desrar, right?
Yeah.
His
He's a really good artist.
Of this is fantastic.
We've got the final issue of Turtles of Grayskull, the Master Universe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
As I was flipping through it, I saw that there was major links between, is it Ninjor or the ninja guy from He-Man?
Oh, God, I don't remember this character.
Sure.
He was definitely a character.
Yeah.
And he had the same squat, muscular body of all of them, but he was wearing like ninja clothes.
Sure.
But he's teaming up with the character that I think you guys didn't know as well as I did, but from the earliest Eastman Laird days of the Ninja Turtles, Renee. She is the ditzy apprentice to like the Master of Time.
Okay, yeah, I know who that character is. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the kind of deep dive that is going on in this. I mean, there is also He-Man at one point quips by the turtle power of Grayskull, and I saw that the turtles, like, I don't know if it was they were looking for a rallying cry or something. They're like, let He-Man do it. One of them is like, he's good with the one-liners, which is hilarious to me, and like it made me kind of want to read it because it looked like they were having some fun with it and doing some good dialogue. Is it Tim Seeley?
It is Tim Seeley.
Yeah, when we know he loves He-Man.
You are correct. It is Ninjor.
Yeah.
Ninjor
gets his day.
Sure.
Man, I saw like some obscure characters in there. Like
I mean, it fits. Tim Seeley loves his He-Man.
Yeah,
so.
he was not messing around with who he used. I just hope Stinkor made it into it.
And then Green Lantern number 22. Dave, I don't know if you were reading this.
I didn't get around to it, but I have been enjoying the Green Lantern book, so it is on my list to read.
Is that another Joshua Williamson? No, it's Jeremy Adams.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I saw, Nick, that you had pulled Deadpool Wolverine number 4.
Yep.
Presumably so you could read more Strife.
That's true. Strife is
You need
the
more
big
Strife in your
villain,
life.
and I needed more Strife in my life.
Did you enjoy the issue?
I did. It's fun. It's crazy and over the top and kind of what it needs to be.
Okay.
And then graphic novel-wise, we've got... I guess we should mention second printings. We got new printings of Absolute Batman 1 through 3.
Right.
And Absolute Wonder Woman number 1.
That's pretty big.
And we were supposed to have Absolute Superman number 1, but they shorted us.
It's true.
And then we got a new printing of Godzilla vs. Chicago.
Yep.
Then there's trades. We got the Dark Knights of Steel Deluxe Edition, which is the entire Tom Taylor 12-part story in one big oversized hardcover.
Which is very cool.
DC Finest, they're essentially their epic collections.
Yep.
Has Superman Family, the Giant Turtle Man. So a bunch of Jimmy Olsen stories.
So good.
Yeah. Nick played Jimmy Olsen in a recent RPG that Dave
But I've
ran.
never read that issue. I've only seen
We
stills of
watched
that.
snippets and things
Yeah,
like that, yeah. But
But I love this
iconic Silver Age stuff.
I love the DC Finest line. I like them reprinting all of
It
these
is.
kind of crazy, and they've done a good
There's
selection
a fair amount of
them.
stuff. Yeah. Everything from like old school Batman and Superman to
JSA.
Suicide Squad, JSA.
I feel like I've seen some like Bronze Age Legion
Yep.
of superheroes, and it's been very cool.
It's a good new line.
And they do the format like kind of Marvel's Epic, where they'll pull in other things that tied into it,
Yeah.
so that you're getting these nice big pictures from an era.
Yep. We got The Moon is Following Us, Volume 1, which is Darren Warren Johnson's sci-fi series
The first
Image.
5 issues of it,
Yep.
yeah, it's a really good book. If you like Daniel Warren Johnson and any stripe, it's fantastic.
We got Paranoid Gardens, which is Gerard Way's new book about superpowered insane asylum? Retirement home.
So yeah, if you liked Umbrella Academy and want to try out more Gerard Way, or if you like My Chemical Romance,
I liked
I
the
guess.
first issue of this.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
I want to catch up on it.
But yeah, I want to check it out.
And then finally, we got the Ultimate X-Men Tomorrow People Epic Collection, which is they're finally reprinting the early Ultimate stuff.
Yep.
This is Mark Miller's X-Men with I forget who
Kubert,
the artist
Andy
was.
Kubert.
Kubert, yeah, Andy
It's
Kubert on art.
either him or the other Kubert brother.
I think it's the first 12 or 15 issues of that.
And while I would come to not be the biggest fan of Mark Miller,
Sure.
I remember being like so excited for this and Ultimate Spider-Man as it was hitting, and really having a pretty good time, at least with the first 6 or 12 issues, and seeing how he was shaking things up.
He also has another reprint this week that a story I love.
I have to admit, it's one of the ones, my favorite ones is
Wolverine Enemy of the State.
Yeah. What is this the one where
Where
Wolverine
the hand kills him?
Is he controlled by the hand?
Yeah, they basically remake him as their.
And so a lot of the story, in a way, is like him interacting with other Marvel Universe characters, everything from the Fantastic Four to Daredevil
As a villain,
and kind of showing how dangerous he can be. But at the same time, I got to give Mark Miller this. He didn't punk out any of those characters. Like Daredevil isn't shown to be some pushover or whatever.
It was art by John Romita.
Yeah, and I thought it was like some top-notch work from him. So
agreed.
I will loosely, just this one time, recommend this one Mark Miller book.
I also do want to say that Ultimate X-Men has, Dave, one of our favorite lines ever about Sabretooth. Where they're like they're like going after the X-Men, and Sabretooth is part of it. It's like a government team that's going after him or something.
Yeah.
And like Sabretooth is their Wolverine, and the guy their leader of the gang or whatever he's like, well, we got a second-rate Wolverine. He's like, sorry, Sabretooth, it's just true.
I don't remember that. But
it was so
harsh,
good.
Yeah.
It's just a brutal, easy slapdown of a lame character.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to talk a couple trailers and some other stuff. All right, we got some trailers to talk about and some news. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with Fantastic Four First Steps.
Right.
We got a full trailer after the teaser that we saw previously.
Yep.
I am not the world's biggest Fantastic Four fan. Just like Thor, it's like a lesser characters for me from Marvel. But for whatever reason, I am super excited about this one.
You do not like Jack Kirby.
I hate Jack Kirby.
I knew it.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, a car.
That's what happens when you mention Jack Kirby around me. I honk.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yes,
Jack Kirby.
I don't always do it.
I'm not a monkey.
I'm not your trained monkey, Dave.
So the FF was a team that I came in through Burns' run in the 80s. I only bought spotty issues at first, but I would go back and buy the whole run. And I did glom when in my late teens. I did glom onto Kirby then, and I went back and I got hardcovers, like the Marvel Masterworks that they put out in those days.
Yeah.
Of a lot of the first 100 issues, and so I do have a lot of affection for Lee and Kirby's FF and various other runs. My other favorite is Simonson's run and some odds and ends in between there. Yeah. So I have a lot of FF love. But yeah, I think the energy in this, almost everybody liked The Incredibles,
Yeah.
And The Incredibles, everybody knows was FF influenced, including, this shares with it, it seems to be in an alternate world 60s, that is kind of a little bit, it's not perfect or anything like that, but it does seem like it's a world where the FF saved everybody at some point.
Yep.
As we were watching the trailer and they're showing the kind of adoring crowds and how they're these big pop culture figures, I was like, what did they initially save them from?
No, I wonder if it's possible that they're going to do that. Their rocket mission was into space, was to save them from something. They were saving them from something in space.
Or they've saved them multiple times from various other villains that have shown up.
But either way, it means we're either going to get some sort of montage of villains, or maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be a cold open with the Mole Man.
Well, we know John Malkovich is playing Red Ghost. Are we almost sure of that?
Yeah,
right.
And if it is could be a space race thing where he went up with his monkeys.
Yep.
And they went up and he stopped space communism from destroying the world.
Right, and it could have been, they were going to... Reed is holding some item in this that looked like a staff.
I think that's the ultimate nullifier.
I thought so too, and I wondered if maybe, so that's not full Deus Ex Machina, that's something that they acquired in that first world-saving mission.
Yeah.
Red Ghost and his guys were trying to get it. They got to it first. America won the space race and the ultimate nullifier race.
Yes.
And now it can come into play. But hopefully, I think instead of just being the full Deus Ex Machina, there will be some story element to it.
We have a couple big questions here for me. Will we see Alicia Masters?
Right.
And will that tie into the Silver Surfer story?
Right.
Will we see the Watcher? Because they've got the Watcher cast.
Oh man, they should use the
Watcher.
Yeah.
But Julia Garner is great, and we get our first look at her as Silver Surfer,
yep.
Which of course many people online are mad about because Silver Surfer got tits.
Yep.
I love the idea of this alternate Shala Ball became Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Rad. I'm all for it.
I feel like I kind of need to see it a little bit to kind of fully warm to it. The one thing that even the earliest trailers for the old Fantastic Four movie from the early or mid 2000s or whatever was I felt like he had more presence, and part of that was just that Lawrence Fishburne voice.
Yeah,
she's ethereal, but doesn't quite have that immediate presence. And
see, I disagree. I thought she had the thing that she had was that she basically feels like the no nonsense Herald of Galactus. She comes down, she's like, "Yeah, your world's gonna die." And then she just flies away, and Giant tries to chase her, and she just kind of casually flips him away.
We're not seeing her, the whole.
Yeah,
I do know that they I remember they did some trailer for that one back in the day that was minute-long trailer of just the Silver Surfer being chased by the Human Torch or something.
Yep.
And it was also an FX showcase that was pretty good. I didn't quite feel the Silver Surfer oomph that I wanted to.
Okay.
So it is not necessarily aversion to tits. I need to see them kind of sell me on it. Now most of the rest of the trailer, though, in general, has done that because we were talking off mic about how they are. I think. I had my doubts about dropping Galactus in the first movie, even though I understand why they would want to do it. It's a correction for the screw-up of the previous FF movie.
Yep.
Galactus Cloud.
And it's also people don't want to just see, I think just another Doctor Doom thing that's, or a rehash of the origin. And so it's clear they're going to move past the origin quick. And in seeing how they do this, and they already have the planet kind of rallied behind them, it sets them up to do something new with it. Yeah. To make Galactus of this big struggle. We know in some way, shape, or form, probably the end of it will catapult them into the regular MCU.
Probably.
But yeah, it's mystery. We don't know, and then so that's some good mysteries to have.
Yep.
And so in general, there's the energy of this sells me on this alternate '60s world, Galactus as this existential threat. And also the family stuff. There's great family stuff in it, which I was pretty sure they were going to get that right.
All the characters look great to me. There's a little bit in this trailer where we see everybody's powers.
Yeah.
Yep.
We see Human Torch. We see Invisible Woman. We see Reed stretching.
Yep.
Which I know some people were worried they wouldn't get that. I thought it looked good.
It looked good.
Really good.
I think a lot of people. I've seen people say, "Hey, they shouldn't use stretching. It doesn't look good." But after what we've seen with in One Piece.
Yeah.
They can do stretching and do it cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
I noticed that Reed's costume is different from from everyone else's. Doesn't have the white collar. He just has a blue.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But
Something about his unique unstable molecules. Yeah. Let's see. What else to glean from this?
The vibes are right.
Yeah,
I think
vibes
this
are
looks
good.
really good, and I'm
All along, I think
super excited.
One of the things that kind of most of us had agreed on was that a 60s era setting would probably work best for them, and they really seem to have embraced that in a cool way. The family's got good kind of quippy energy together. We did find out in this one that Sue is apparently pregnant in this, which I'm like, well, she shouldn't be out fighting Galactus. Let that lady lie down.
Don't put Sue in a corner, Dave.
I mean, the baby's in danger, Sue.
No, the baby's fine.
Historically not, actually. Well, I guess it was the second kid.
Yeah, the second kid. Yeah.
But yeah, but actually Franklin's presence in any way, shape, or form, even if he's just a little baby, does solidify the familial quality of it. And there's a great bit with
Johnny Storm.
Johnny joshin with Reed.
He's not joshing.
He's not joshing. Yeah, there's good energy coming off of Johnny. It's who played him in the
Joseph Quinn is playing him here,
right? Who played him
Chris
originally?
Evans.
Chris Evans, famously before he got full Cap mode, and Chris Evans did a really good job.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like he's gonna absolutely bring something to the table. I like everybody's look. What is it? Some people didn't like. I remember that the Thing didn't. His voice wasn't gravelly enough.
The Thing sounds perfect,
but you know what?
Looks perfect.
The Thing doesn't usually. He has a certain tough guy with Brooklyn Bronx voice or whatever.
Yeah.
But until we got to 90s and people started wanting to do letters that were lettering fonts that were sometimes made it look rocky.
Yeah.
Stan and Jack and those guys, I don't think ever particularly emphasized that he has a voice that rocks.
He's just supposed to sound like a guy from the Bronx. He sounds perfect. The guy they cast is perfect for him. The bit where the kids are asking him to lift the car and he's joyfully goes and lifts a car.
Did you see the thing with that looks like the car on the cover of Action Comics #1?
Oh, that's great.
The one that Superman is smashing. Yeah, just kind of a little bit of maybe a wink and a nudge.
I didn't catch that. I think if you look back, think about mid '90s or late '90s, early 2000s, we were getting X-Men movies, and how much more faithful all of this is, and they're unashamed to have the costumes. Yep. And the 60s, remember where we're talking about Captain America, what they should really do is Cap should be a period piece set in World War II. And they did that.
Right.
And now everyone's been saying this is the obvious thing they've never done is hey, why the FF should be in the 60s, and now they're doing it. Little bits that tell me that they understood the assignment.
Yeah, I actually love the 60s robotic iconography of Herbie.
Yep.
And this is clearly is super cool looking. What's interesting is that they're doing it right. There's a lot of faithfulness, and yet they are changing, I think, in general, just enough that I'm don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Well,
I am quite sure that the Ultimate Nullifier will not be used in a overly familiar way. It's not just going to be something where he pulls it out at the end and he's like, back off, Galactus, or the universe gets it.
They have 3 different playbooks to pull from, of what to do, what not to do, and what to completely avoid.
Yeah.
Right? This has been done.
And they've done it badly 4 times if you count Roger Corman.
I don't know if I can say that the
there's some moments in there.
There's some good moments.
There are moments, but they're pretty bad. Now the one by Josh Trank was outright awful.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
That was bad.
But none of them were great.
No, but there were good. I mean, Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis.
Sure. They damaged the brand.
Right.
I know a lot of people who don't understand the difference between the MCU, and they're like, they're doing Fantastic Four again, but those movies are so terrible. Like, they do not understand that it's nothing to do with that.
Right. Having a Doctor Doom who was middling is almost worse than not having him at all.
And they've done it twice now.
Yeah.
3 times if you count Roger Corman.
Right. Yeah, but I watched the Roger Corman once on like some bootleg videotape or something like that. I don't know if have y'all ever seen it?
No, I've not.
So the one funny thing I'm going to tell about, I mean, there's lots of funny things about it. It is very sincere in its way.
Sure.
But I think what do they call it? ADR when you re-record stuff afterwards.
Yes.
My sense is that they didn't do ADR on Doctor Doom, and so you just hear a guy kind of talking through a mask very awkwardly, and like sometimes I'm like, I don't actually know what he just said. Like he makes some imperious speech, and I'm like, what? It's what is it, like a Dark Helmet? Was that what it was?
Dark Helmet
it's
from
the
Spaceballs.
full-on Spaceballs Dark Helmet, but unintentionally funny. Anyway, I think we're all looking forward to this one, right?
Yeah.
This is actually one of my most waited.
Yeah,
This is Superman.
Yep.
When does it come out?
July.
They're close,
July.
right?
They're
a week apart.
Back to back, I think, yeah.
They should. It'd be nice if they teamed up because Superman and the FF are both forward-thinking, goodwill properties. I suspect Marvel and DC aren't quite going to want to cross-promote, but it would be cool if they did the Barbenheimer. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. We're going to get another Marvel DC crossover in the comics. So
Superman-tastic Four.
If they did this thing that showed like Reed and Superman shaking hands or something, like people would flip their fucking shit.
It'd be great.
It'd be great. They won't, but it'd be great.
That'd be great if they did.
We got a teaser for Weapons, which is from the director Barbarian, a movie we all loved.
Yeah, if you remember, this Barbarian was a horror movie with a kind of a title where you don't like, well, what does it mean in this context? I don't even know. But it's from the guy, a comedian from the Whitest Kids You Know sketch comedy thing, like a YouTube sketch comedy group. And if you've ever seen it, really great series. If you plug into their vibe, very fun, hilarious stuff. And he made a great horror movie. He became another person who, I felt like a trend after, comedian Jordan Peele so successfully transitioned to horror. And then here comes this other guy. Barbarian's a great movie to not know anything about, but it's the one that, if you recall the trailers, begins with a double booking at like a, what do you call it, an Airbnb kind of thing?
Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, this guy seems a little sketchy and it's a little creepy, but is he okay or is he just a little off, but fine? But the movie is not fully about that, but it is a great start to it. And then the twists and turns are just incredibly fun, and it's a great cinematic experience. So we've all been, I think, looking forward to what the next effort will be.
Yep.
It's not tied to Barbarian at all, right?
No, I don't think so.
This is an original idea, I
And this
believe.
is just
all we get is a little teaser of like children running around.
Well, it's nighttime, and they show these kind of dark, shadowy neighborhoods. And like suddenly you'll see like a little kid, like in silhouette running across it, and their arms are all kind of out to the side, almost like when you're like zoom, I'm an airplane kind of thing.
Yep.
And isn't there some narration that's saying they don't know why they did it?
It's like it's like a cop talking to a parent or something.
Yeah.
They weren't kidnapped.
It looked like they were doing it of their own free will. Right. And then, and as the camera kind of pans across these neighborhoods, and you see like half a dozen kids that are all kind of running along. It
seems like this is going to be about a mass disappearance of children.
Right. There's a URL associated with it that reminded me of like the days of the Blair Witch promotion, which is famous for like having a very clever promotion that made it feel real.
Yeah.
And the thing was called like the Morgan Missing or something like that.
Yep.
And suggest that there might be a mock web page about some missing kids or this weird circumstance. And I think Nick and I are probably going to look at this. Randy, you rightly, I think, said you don't want to know anything else about it.
I don't want to know anything else. Yeah,
because
I'm
Barbarian, what was one of the things that was so fun about it was going in not knowing what its deal was. But I think I will at least look that little extra bit and check out that website, because if they have like a fun bit of history or lore or something that they want you to maybe look at, I'm maybe open to it. Yeah, it's an effective, just, minimalist teaser.
Yep.
Cool and weird, and yet you have no idea what's going on.
Right. And then we got the trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot. Not reboot, but like,
it's like
what do you
sequel,
call it?
It's like a legacy sequel.
There's a name for it. When you call
requel?
A requel.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It does.
So
Scream did it.
Yep. And Scream did it well. That's the thing is, like, I really liked Scream. I've never seen. I know what you did last summer.
I know that they are of the same era, and I know what you did last summer came out afterwards.
Yeah, and it was a lesser.
They were kind of from the teen, but with a meta take on horror, vibe. Nick, can you tell us, without like completely spoiling it, because I kind of want to see the original now, if I consider seeing this, can you tell us the basic premise of it?
5 kids hit a person on the road, and that comes back to bite them.
Does it tie into the old urban legend about the dude with the hook hand, or is
Not
that
really?
Just,
I think that's just kind of
according to Wikipedia, it does.
Oh, does it?
Yep. Draws inspiration from the urban legend known as The Hook,
Okay.
as well as the slasher films Prom Night and The House on
Because there's like
Road.
a fisherman motif to it. And that's because of the small town kind of on the East Coast. Fishing is big there, so...
And I remember there were some sequels. In general, Nick, would you recommend any of those?
The sequels, I don't think I would.
But original was okay?
Original was fine. It had a lot of people kind of... just as they were getting popular, I know Sarah Michelle Gellar was in it. Jennifer Love Hewitt was the star. Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yep.
This trailer does have Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze in it.
Yep.
So
and it seems like there is a this phenomenon is recurring. What are they showing the trailer?
kind of. I mean, kids getting like letters,
getting murdered very badly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what's with the letters? The
Tormented.
letters have the "I know what you did last summer" thing that it reads on there, and then at some point you see Jennifer Love Hewitt recur in there, and I think maybe some newscasters like it's not the first time this town has been rocked by. So
in fact, there have been 3 times.
Yes, I still know what you did.
I still know what you did last summer, and I always knew what you did last summer.
I ain't lying. I know what you did last summer. Nick, are you going to see this? See
I
if it
might
gets
wait.
reviews.
I'm gonna wait to see
You
what
think they're
it is.
scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as like requels?
No, I don't think that. But it does not.
What would be scraping the bottom of the barrel?
I feel like the newest Final Destination is definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel. But that was just me. I will not press play on that one unless the reviews are like phenomenal.
But I think they have just a possible shot at this being halfway decent if they manage to get a good combination of like nostalgia and like some witty meta writing.
Right.
Okay, so apparently Mike Flanagan was going to co-write this script,
Okay.
and then they canceled it. It was going to be a reboot, and then they didn't make it. This is a completely different run. If Mike Flanagan was involved, I might be interested. As is, this holds no interest for me.
You know, if Mike Flanagan did it, there'd probably be some scene in it that makes me cry.
Yes.
And I'd be like, how did this... No, what? Not this movie.
Yep.
So I will say the director... Is this the writer or the director? The director is the writer of the movie... I think it was a Prime The Do Revenge. Do you remember that? Where I know you and I watched it.
I did watch it.
It's kind of have like a Heathers vibe to it.
Yeah.
It was
all right.
solid.
It was all right.
So we'll see.
You let me know if it's good, Nick.
Yeah.
And I think Nick is
I'm still
not
in
exactly
kind of-
enthused for it.
No.
We'll see. We'll see.
Last trailer is a video game trailer, which is Star Wars Zero Company.
Did we talk about it last week?
We talked about it last week because they'd done a reveal of that was coming.
Right. It is a turn-based Star Wars tactical game, in the style of, if you want... XCOM, Final
Midnight
Fantasy
Suns.
Tactics, Midnight Suns. Anybody who's played those games where, on your turn each character has like a selection of moves. You can duck, you can go prone, you can go and heal somebody up and all of that kind of stuff. But with Star Wars.
Yep.
And there's most of this is like the cinematic portion of the trailer with just glimpses at the end of some of the actual gameplay. But the framing device is that there's a narrator talking about how the Clone Wars, most of what people know is kind of the big battles of it and the invasions and the, populations that were, slaughtered and stuff like that. But he's like, but there was a lot of the war was actually smaller battles and people who weren't big heroes. And over the course of this, you see glimpses of the characters you'll play in the game. And what is it? There's a Mandalorian. There's a clone trooper.
Mandalorian, clone trooper,
Jedi.
a Jedi, just like a robot Jedi, actually.
Yeah.
Or is he an alien? Is that an alien?
I think
race?
it's an alien.
There's a droid.
And there's a droid that's like an R5D4 kind
Yep.
of droid. And then there was some dude who looks like a smuggler type dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably their leader.
Oh, and the guy who was doing the narration, he had like a Star Wars Southern accent,
Yep.
didn't he?
And there's also a sniper.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it looks like everybody's gonna have a role. I was thinking it was gonna be like squad based, but maybe it's like this is your squad.
Yeah.
You don't like change it up too much.
Right. I'm going to guess this is one of those games where you can't necessarily get them killed, but they might get taken out. And maybe like in Midnight Suns, if they're injured, they'll have to be down for a few missions.
You don't think it's going to be like XCOM where your guys regularly get their heads blown off?
Not if they showed 5 or 6 main characters. Because in XCOM, you can go through dozens of characters.
Oh yeah, in XCOM, you get mind controlled and just murder your
For
own
all we
squad
know, these
mate.
are just kind of like the icons that they're doing, but they
It could be, yeah.
We'll
I
see.
mean, honestly, I'd play it either way because I love turn-based games.
Yep.
And it's a pretty cool looking trailer. Like
Yep.
at the end when it showed the little glimpses, they were doing the kind of things you did, a drop down menu, and you choose to throw a grenade, or you're hiding behind the barrels and stuff like that for cover, which will mean that when the enemy goes, they only have like a 25% chance of hitting you and all of that stuff.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah,
It's a good trailer, but it's not for me.
Yep.
Nick, what is would you say, favorite format for a Star Wars game? Would you say that's like third-person
Yeah.
ones?
Like the Jedi Survivor.
And they have,
stuff like
they
that.
did do some great work with first-person over the years. The original, oh man, what was the Dark? What do they call that one? Dark something. Was like the first-person shooter one in like the mid '90s or early '90s.
Oh yeah, and they did like Republic Commando. And,
Right, yeah, they would go on to do a lot of these, and eventually they got to the game Jedi Knight and stuff like that. And what else? The Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront did some good stuff. Which, although the very last one that they did, I could never plug into, but I played the previous two and I loved them. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be a good format for me. I guess there's a lot of Star Wars game formats. The only one that doesn't work for me is pod racing. Did either of y'all play that back on
I played it.
I know of it.
Xbox One or whatever it was?
Was it actually Xbox? It wasn't.
No,
it
it
was
was
just the first
previous to
Xbox,
that.
right?
I think it might have even been pre
Or
that.
PS2.
Was it? It wasn't N64, was it?
I don't.
Man, it was
maybe?
late '90s, and I wasn't sure if the Xbox hit until like the 2000s.
I'm curious now. I have to look it up. Pod racing.
This is pod racing.
Pod racing.
I think they should do a game where you play as the double-headed sportscaster from that, and you have to make good calls.
Correctly podcast.
Yes,
pod
you have
race.
to. Yes, yeah, it's podcast.
It was
Podcast.
N64. You're right, because it was released the same year that the movie was released, because it was the time.
Yeah,
Sure.
there you go. The powerful might of an N64.
I liked the N64. It was a good.
Oh,
console.
it was. They were definitely pushing the tech then.
All right. We also did have some other Star Wars news that came out, and not just Star Wars, but there is 3 bits of Star Wars news we culled from the.
Star Wars Celebration they did in Japan.
Yeah. Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy's movie has a title. It is Star Wars Starfighter. I believe that they said it is set after Return of the last movie,
Return of the Jedi.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker. Okay,
5 years.
so
It's 5 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, okay.
No other details. Sean Levy has directed The Atom Project, This Is Where I Leave You,
Wolverine vs. Deadpool.
Your Friends and Neighbors, Wolverine vs. Deadpool.
Ryan Gosling is a pretty big get.
And Ryan Gosling, we don't know, but so...
I wonder who the threat's going to be. I assume it's not like the Palpatine's back, the First Order's back.
No, I think it's going to be like probably... I mean, he may just be a pilot. They may be doing a weird, like... something a little smaller.
But there's, and I think that's good,
Yeah.
actually. But I think there has to be a threat that's like, there is a dangerous pirate force that's like, filled a power vacuum and is
Right.
like taking over the space lanes or something. And I was like, you could do cool stuff with that. I'm open to it.
Crimson,
Even though I'm a little
whatever.
bit kind of mid on Ryan Gosling.
Really?
Ryan Gosling's always good.
He's fun.
Even in movies I don't like Fall Guy.
He
Still don't know why I didn't like that. It was a good movie.
He did stand out in Barbie, I gotta say. But
I can understand you not liking Gray Man.
But I was not big on his Blade Runner appearance, and I forget what else I've seen him in.
Blade Runner's a good movie.
His indie one with where he hits dudes with a hammer.
Driver.
Driver, yeah, I did. Like that.
Apparently, I'm a Ryan Gosling fan. It's fine.
You are.
Yeah. Darth Maul is going to get his own animated series called Maul Shadow Lord on Disney Plus. I assume they don't say much about this.
It'll be in the style of Animaniacs.
Yes. I'm thinking, since it's called Shadow Lord, that it's going to tie into him running the crime organization. What's the Crimson Shadow? Whatever he's.
Yeah.
He is the crime lord at that point.
Yep,
so I assume that we'll see more of that.
Maybe so.
But I'm looking forward to it. They really deepened Darth Maul in the Clone Wars and Rebels cartoons.
100%. He is a totally different character than the lightsaber
monosyllabic,
swinging, who doesn't speak.
Yep.
What was his motivation to become a crime lord?
I don't know. I guess he just was bored and needed to change the pace.
That doesn't sound that deep.
No, they gave him more depth.
Personality.
Yeah.
I mean, almost anything would be more than nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he has cybernetic legs.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Because he got cut in half.
If they do the chicken legs, that'll be weird.
I mean, they'll have to. That's his thing. But they'll do that because
He got his regular legs back.
Did he get his regular legs?
Yeah,
back?
he does.
They can't do it in the era where he had the chicken legs. It's no good.
The Clone
Chicken
Wars
legs
did well
was
with
fun,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good story, but like, I can't watch that on the screen for 2 hours.
Well, you just giggle.
Or no, wait, this is an animated
It's
thing.
an animated
but
show.
even so, I
Yep.
can't imagine them wanting to stick with it. It felt like a stopgap, and then that he needed to get some decent robot legs.
Magic legs.
What if he had
Lieutenant
been
Darth.
walking around on like a car-sized Imperial Walker, and then from the torso up it's him?
Yeah.
He was like a centaur.
Yeah, Space
like-
Centaur.
That's like Starscream being attached to a his tank. It
Darth Maul
shouldn't work.
Space Centaur. I'm for it.
But it
I will,
works.
but do you want it like a year tops, and then you got to get out of there. You got to get out.
That's how long you can be attached to a car.
That's right. Otherwise, it's just silly.
Car, chicken legs. 1 year.
For 1 year, it's serious, and I can take it.
After that, it's a giggle fest.
They have recast Baylan Skoll, the sort of dark Jedi from Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Rory McCann, a.k.a. the Hound.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Good casting.
What was...
An actor passed away, right?
Yeah. Ray something.
Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away
Yep.
after filming.
So replacing him for what? Ahsoka season 2?
Yep. Which they apparently are doing.
I also heard something notable about it. Oh, I read somewhere that like the last 4 episodes are like a big space battle between like Dave Filoni said this.
Yeah.
Between like Akbar's fleet and like Thrawn's fleet.
Yeah,
Like,
they're going to give
They wanna
Akbar
do a
stuff to
giant,
do.
yeah.
They're going to bring in some of the Rebels characters are going to be in there.
Now, I overtly disliked Ahsoka, and so there's nothing that they could be putting in there that would make me want to watch it.
I was not thrilled about it, but I liked all the characters.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
No, they're good characters. They just weren't written
You
very
just
well.
don't have the attachment that we do.
No.
You didn't watch
When I
Rebels
saw
or-
them on those shows, they were good. But like, Ahsoka seemed like she herself had become boring. What's her name? Who's Hera?
Yeah.
Is that she?
Played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
Right. I was like,
I
love
agree with you,
Mary
Dave.
Elizabeth Winstead, but she was like so boring.
It's like it's like they took some of the best ingredients and made a really bland stew.
yeah.
But I still have faith that they could come back. Remember, Picard. Remember the lesson of Picard season 3.
You know, I liked enough of seasons 1 and 2 to have been happy enough with those experiences.
Incorrect. Picard season 2 is trash.
No.
No, actually, I like Picard season 2 as well. But I think
Dave
that
literally threw Ahsoka season 1 across the room.
I think
Yes.
this is a lesson.
I
for
had
us
it
that-
burned onto a CD-ROM so I could hurl the
So you can fling
CD-ROM
it, yeah.
across the room.
I respect that.
Drew a cover for it.
That's right. Yeah, I got one
We
of those
made a
old like
custom Blu-ray set.
little Memorex little casing for it
He actually recorded a commentary for every episode.
that I flung the shit
Then
out
he
of
flung
it.
the shit out of it. Then I set it all on fire.
It was like the worst hate watch ever.
And last bit of news: Ready or Not is the horror movie with Samara Weaving.
Kind of a fun survival horror.
Is getting a sequel. Ready or Not, Here I Come, which is a good name for a sequel.
Yeah, it is.
With Sarah Michelle Gellar and Elijah Wood.
And I'm assuming Samara Weaving, right?
Samara Weaving is still in it. Catherine Newton is in it.
Remind me, was Ready or Not the one with she was the bride
Yep.
partaking in what they thought was a weird family. They were like a family with an empire that was related to board games.
They basically
They're
played a
wealthy
game
empire.
every time.
And this was like it was randomized, and it's like, am I correct that she could have gotten a normal game?
Yeah, a normal game and nothing would have happened.
Yep.
But they got it is a game now, a game of death.
Yep.
She chose hide and seek, and that was the
and was hunted by this evil family that was involved with like cultish activity and supernatural forces, and becomes she gets to true final girl stage.
If you haven't watched Ready or Not, I suggest it. It's a lot
fun movie.
Fun.
I think I wasn't as into it as y'all, but like it's a good time.
I did not really think they would go through with the sequel, but I'm here for it.
Yep. Is this going to be like in Die Hard 2, whereas like, why does this keep happening to us? Well, you would think if somebody offered her to play a game, she'd be like, no, well, I'm opting out.
In theory, I guess she owns the game.
She owns the company now, right?
She owns the company now.
Well, because there's like, am I correct? There was like a legit supernatural underpinning to
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So it may be that she is like through lineage or supernatural contract or something like required to do this in the same way that like, they didn't really have a great choice in Cabin in the Woods as to they had to run it.
Yep.
So there may be something like that going on in which that would make some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about, if nothing else, Sinners. All right, so this is your spoiler warning for Sinners, which, I don't know, it's not super spoilery, really. There's not like a lot of spoilers, but you should go in. I think we would all say you should go see Sinners on a big screen.
Yes.
And go in as unspoiled as possible.
Yep.
Yeah. I think even if you kind of know the premise, there's this sort of interesting meandering quality to the movie that it's a good kind of meandering for the most part, I think. And then the trailers didn't necessarily convey what this... You have to just sit with it for a while with these characters. But, so it's like Prohibition times, and is it post-World War II?
1930... No, it's post-World War One.
Yep.
And it's hard... where's the setting?
1932, not Mississippi.
Yeah, in my head I was half thinking Mississippi.
Is it?
It's the South. Bless you.
Thank you.
And anyway, at the heart of it is...
No, it is Mississippi.
It's Mississippi, okay.
These two brothers, who are played in what could be a novelty act, but really isn't.
But it's not.
Like I forgot that they weren't two different people very quickly into the movie. Played by Michael B. Jordan. He's a great actor. And they are involved in some shady dealings. And are successful at it.
Well, they've come down from Chicago, where they were working for the mob.
Right.
Working for Al Capone.
Right. And what they want to do is establish this kind of like bump and juke joint.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They wanted to get this, like, rent a space kind of out, this, what is like a warehouse kind of thing?
Sawmill.
Thing, yeah. Yep. And kind of get the best nearby blues man who happens to be a preacher's son.
Their cousin.
That's right, their cousin. And pull together people to turn it into a place where folks from around the neighborhood can gather to drink, carouse, and dance, gamble, and make them money. That's what it feels like the movie could be exclusively about, but there is a supernatural turn in it.
Well, that's the thing. Like the first hour and a half of the movie is them going around this town, meeting up with all these people because they came from this town, so that they pick up their cousin. They go see old flames who are one of whom is a medicine woman, basically.
Yep.
But she also is a great cook, so they want her to cook. They go to this Asian grocer.
Yep.
And they are getting supplies from them.
Yep.
They pick up they have liquor that they brought with them from Chicago.
Well, and they're a known thing in this town. They're
called the Smokestack twins. One is smoke, one is stack.
Right.
And all these people that they're kind of interacting with, they're friends, or they don't expect to see them, but they. I really liked this opening because it didn't feel rushed. It felt kind of like easing you into this world and explaining their relationships to all of these people.
Yep.
Be it just their cousin, who they gave him a guitar.
Yep.
to Delroy Lindo's character, who is a bluesman, who is kind of a drunkard.
Yeah.
He really just plays for drink.
Yep.
And a bunch of other people. There's a guy named Cornbread.
Who's played by Omar Wilson.
Yep, Omar Benson.
Omar Benson from a very
Is that
He's
the
a-
dude
he's a
who's
character.
the doorman guy?
Yeah.
Very fun character, and a lot of fun characters in it.
What's interesting to me is, as I was watching this, I was thinking, this is a lot of story with no supernatural, because I knew there was supernatural coming.
Yeah.
And there is it is, as you say, Nick, sort of deliberately slowly paced, and in the wrong hands, this would be boring as hell.
Yeah.
Right. And instead, with Coogler at the helm, and I don't know if he was the writer or...
I think he was.
I think at least co-writer.
It is very engaging throughout.
Yep.
Like I was, and also stunningly
he wrote
beautiful.
it.
Like the way this is shot.
Right.
He actually had, there was a thank you in the credits to Christopher Nolan for sort of some of the sweeping wide shots and that kind of thing. He gives you a sense of place.
And we should mention that this is also a movie that's really tinged with music throughout.
Yes.
And I think he's working with the composer that he worked with on both Creed and Black Panther.
Ludwig Göransson.
Yep. And then there's also like Buddy Guy. I don't know if he actually just had an appearance.
I think he just
Buddy
has
Guy
an
plays
appearance.
the older.
Right, but does he also do? I don't know if he composed any of the music.
I don't know
for
either.
it.
I don't think so.
But
the soundtrack is spectacular.
Right, it is a very blues infused, but there's actually a good variety. There's like also sort of Irish music, and like sort of like folk music, and like quite a wide variety of styles. Well, eventually you will get to the twist, which is in the trailer, so I think we can talk about it, and we're talking spoilers anyway, which is a sort of vampire encroachment on this place. There's things, there's their own wheeling and dealing and going on, and ups and downs of like sort of their opening test night of this. But at its heart, there is kind of a story about... I don't know, kind of appropriation as these vampires come, and really, do they most want the guy who's the big blues man?
Well, because of what he can do.
Because of his, like, he has
like a really kind of true supernatural ability to kind of bind people with it, and like even bind different eras.
Well, he is able to bring in like past and future things into existence through music.
Right.
Which is probably the best scene in the movie.
I would say there's just no doubt there's this really spectacular sequence in which that is visualized.
It's
in a way that's like a virtuoso camera tracking shot.
Yeah.
My jaw was on the floor.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. Really amazing. Scorsese level, but doing something different from how what Scorsese usually does, because there's an underpinning to it of this kind of like multiple eras overlaying. That's really amazing. Now, I will say, I was a little disappointed to some degree, at least on initial viewing, with the some of where things go, that it turned a little pulp with the vampires, even though I kind of liked the idea behind it and the sort of unique thing that the vampires are looking for, and I think that the lead vampire was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Did you read the article where Ryan Coogler kind of got his motivations for that character?
No.
And it's from a very weird place. You would not expect.
Oh, yes, we did.
The cartoon movie or the animated movie Puss in Boots.
Okay.
Yes,
There is a character in there that is Death.
Okay.
And it has sort of a correlation to our lead vampire.
Oh, weird. No, I did not
kind
know
of like
this.
visual
I'd forgotten
representation and everything. That guy who plays him, Jack O'Connell, I was really impressed by. Just his presence and his ability.
He's a really good villain. He's got some dimension to him.
He's got some dimension. He also can sing.
Yeah.
Is that actually him singing?
I'm sure. I would imagine it is. It was like super impressive with his kind of Irish folk music, and he's terrifying as a vampire.
Yeah.
I
for sure.
I think these are kind of traditional vampires in a sense, but there are some differences that I thought were really unique. There's a hive mind mentality to these vampires.
Right, they literally do know each other's thoughts.
Basically, like whatever you know.
Like once you get turned, they know it.
Whatever you know, they know. Whatever abilities you have, they have. So it's like this weird kind of give and take kind of.
Well, it almost reminds me of like in the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie, sometimes the people who are like the pod people make their case,
Right.
And they're like it's so much better. There's no hatred and fear in our world. We all understand each other and we all commune constantly.
And that definitely comes into play.
And that kind of comes into play. But yeah, there's sort of a brutal last stand, and there's a question of how it's going to turn out. But there's also some twists and turns within that that had to do with who they originally rented the sawmill from,
right?
And there's an interesting
what the sawmill actually was,
right? There's an interesting sort of denouement about kind of what the takeaway is for people in this, and who survives, and what things are like as time passes for them.
Yeah.
It's a kind of resolved in a rather extended mid-credit sequence.
Yep.
But
I had
you wouldn't want to walk out the instant the credits roll because you're going to miss the ending of the movie.
In my theater, a lot of people walked out.
Man.
And I was like, you
will have gotten an ending.
I didn't stay until the very ending because I didn't know that there was an after credit sequence.
Oh, there is.
Wait, what?
There is.
We almost stayed, but we didn't stay for the after credits.
It's not a huge one, but there is an after credits.
Okay.
So Ryan Coogler's like, sit your ass down.
Well, Ryan Coogler took the Marvel idea. I mean, that's what he wanted to do and kind of roll with it a little bit.
That's interesting.
I mean, this is like all the Marvel characters. There's a lot of Marvel people in this movie. I
Right.
mean, like Haley Stanfield. She does an amazing job in this as kind of like the only, like the love interest for, I believe it's Stack, right?
I forget.
But because Smoke is the main one who has like a wife and a child who passed away.
Yeah.
And is sort of connected. I actually liked that relationship. It felt very kind of real and normal in this kind of.
There was actually a lot of the relationships are not like kind of one-dimensional.
No.
They're kind of sophisticated. They're like, oh, well, this is a little bit messed up, or there's some power dynamics that are a little bit weird in this, but they all kind of felt like the way things kind of might be. There's not a ton of characters who just feel like they're overtly like a traditional like good guy. Everybody seems like they're a little tarnished in some way, or
well, they're all sinners.
They're all sinners.
That was kind of
yeah.
Yep.
But I wouldn't say most of their sins were too sinny.
No.
But then again, I don't have a religious view of sin. One Smoke or Stack, I forget which one it was, did shoot somebody in the butt and then somebody in the knee early on.
That was definitely a laugh out loud moment for me.
Yeah, that was pretty great. That was pretty great.
It was darkly funny the way he sort of dealt with it. Like, he's like definitely not to be trifled with, but there was kind of something funny about how he was sort of like trying to sort of like also stop short of just like killing people.
What's great is he goes to the guy and he's like you knew I was gonna have to do this. And he's like, I didn't know this was your truck. And the girl he loves is like, yes, he did. He said he didn't care. It was great.
Yeah.
And I actually think the woman who plays Annie, Wumni Mosaku, she's been in Loki. She was the lead TVA agent.
Okay, that makes sense.
But she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in Lovecraft Country.
Now I know who that is. Yeah.
Her kind of knowledge of like magic and hoodoo and I thought that was a really interesting way that they were able to sort of recognize a version of vampires. She's like, I've seen other things, I haven't seen this. It was just kind of like an exploration of kind of the underbelly of this world of like, no, there is supernatural.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though like through Smoke and Stack they've said we've been everywhere, we've been on the battlefields, which is an interesting little. There was a lot of character development just through dialogue.
Right. Well, so we have to mention, in talking about this, I said it was kind of felt like the ambitious version of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that, like I feel like it had to draw some inspiration from it, because it is kind of about, like, a group of kind of, like, outlaws, not all of them outlaws, but, like, some outlaw types who are kind of having what seems like a normal thing when suddenly vampires.
Right.
And
this one, unfortunately, just the vampires are drawn to them because of X.
Right. It is a little more organic in the sense of like it's not just that they stumbled into it; they were targeted, which kind of fits into the thematic of it.
It does.
And it's a somewhat dark theme. The finale.
Yeah.
Like really quite dark, but in a pretty interesting way. there's some elements of the movie I think I'll have to sit with or maybe rewatch it again. I'm at the quite liked but didn't love sort of stage of things. But there's a lot for me to admire in this movie, and some amazing sequences. I actually think it's kind of this very watchable movie, that if it was like, if I strayed across it back in the days when it would just be on cable, like on streaming,
Right.
You can watch anything whenever you want, but like, it feels like a movie that you could wander into, and like any given scene is going to be an interesting scene.
Yeah. The moment to moment is spectacular.
It is a long movie. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I never
noticed it was
felt
longer.
that.
No.
It was entertaining throughout. It was bloody.
Yes.
It was sexy.
Yeah. There's definitely some naughtiness in this movie. Ryan Coogler used his R rating.
Yeah. I just thought it had all the elements. I mean, we go by Letterboxd, or at least that's what I use. This is one of the few ones that I gave 5 stars.
Yeah.
It was as close to perfection that I've seen in quite some time.
It seems, and it's like getting like crazy good reviews.
Yep.
And some headlines that are stupid. But,
Well, but I like that Ben Stiller called out the headline.
yeah, I was glad to see Ben Stiller.
There was a headline, like, it had like this really strong opening weekend, but the headline was kind of like, and I think because this is by and large, black director, largely black cast, and the headline was something like, movie does well, but it's a little ways out from breaking even.
Yeah, it made $61 million in its opening weekend, but it's got a $90 million price tag, so it's got some time. And I'm like, dude,
Ben Stiller, who of course, like these days, has been like really kind of had his name elevated by Severance, which he's produces and directs some of. He called it out. He's like, in what world is he's like kind of like an independent studio movie or whatever that makes $60 million? Is that not the headline? You know, you don't need this little like, but.
Yep.
So good job, Ben Stiller.
Yeah. I'm also a sucker for
he's a real one.
I'm a sucker for vampire movies.
Yep. I know we know of your fondness for vampires. You just add a star on anything with a vampire.
I do.
It's true.
When the Count Chocula movie comes out, at least 1 star.
And I know this is like a weird comparison. It felt like this kind of era's Near Dark in some ways.
Yeah, like an indie kind of vampire movie that was like kind of character centric.
Yeah.
I could see that. I don't think that's like it has different ambitions than Near Dark did.
100%.
But Near Dark was a surprisingly nuanced movie, and we just rewatched it recently. I think in Near Dark, the fact that what was it? He was kind of. Did the main character live with his dad?
Yeah, he was like a high school guy. He was literally like a senior.
Ran off chasing a girl who turns out to be a vampire.
Yep.
And his dad is kind of a nuanced character though. He's kind of he's like when his son goes missing, he's like wants to find him, and they have
actively searching for him.
They have their differences, but he was like a kind of a well drawn character, and the vampires turn out to be fairly well drawn as well. I'll allow it. The court will allow it.
All right, that's probably all the time we have this week. We'll be back next time with more. Until that time,
Yo, Joe.
Roguecast is a weekly podcast broadcast from Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas. You can find us online on Facebook and at www.roguesgallerytx.com and email us comments or questions at roguesgallerytx@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.